Hello, Connective. Today we have a combined energy and empath empowerment deck reading. Today we're looking for just one card from each deck to talk about today. See if we can get maybe two new cards that will come together to form a, oh wow, new message? Okay, well, let's see what this one is about. We kind of know what this card says too. We've pretty good. Last time we were talking about inner hostilities. I'm curious which card comes out this time to go with hostilities. So empath empowerment. I swear to God, if the same card comes out as the card that came out with hostilities last time, I'm pulling two new cards. I'm not gonna do that. This is a repeat message for those of you who are still talking bad about yourself. We should wait at least like a month or two before we do another video like that. It shouldn't be like a week later. I don't even expect people to really get the message. They're still working on it. What do we got? Oh. Okay. Yes, they delivered a different message. Let me put these cards up. Make a little bit of space here. What's happening? Okay, hold on. All right. Figured I'd let the noise go by too. I don't know I figured you probably heard that. Anyway, okay. So, of course, let's read Assert Your Authentic Needs. Yes, definitely a new card. Pretty sure it's a new card. I have seen this card. I'll be honest. I've definitely studied this card, but I don't think it's come out in a reading. It says, in a kind, confident tone, speak your needs rather than hiding them. Empower yourself by being authentic. You know, one of the things that I noticed about this card when I was studying it is these children are very similar and they're doing similar things, but they're not exactly they're not identical. I don't think they're meant to be twins. But they're not identical in the pants that they're wearing, in I think the shirt too, and then the hair is different. They're not made to be, even though they're made to look alike, they are not made to be identical. So I just want to point that out. Because I think that when you make the statement that you look like somebody, but you have different needs, that I think that really makes the statement. You know, I mean, obviously if somebody's a twin, that really resonates with them already, or even a triplet or something. Even if they are different genders, I'm sure there's an identification with that about, wanting to be heard or something to that nature, But, this coming out with this card, wow. I mean, it's basically telling me, to be vigilant about it, to be strong about it. I think it did even use the word strong. Kind, confident tone. No, it didn't. But speak your needs rather than hiding them. Empower yourself by being authentic. So, empowering is a word that I would consider to be, a synonym for strong, because, well, a couple things. First of all, personally, if you're empowered, you get the opportunity to get the benefits of that. If you're not empowered, what that means is, well, it's like when you say no, and people know that when you say no, no means no, they don't ask you again. So you get a little relief there as that person that's empowered. You say no, people don't ask again. similar situations. Like I could come up with a bunch of them where you assert yourself and then nobody questions you or gives you a hard time or anything like that, But on top of that, with people who don't know, when they come in, you've said no. They do think first of all, most people will know. Like the people who take advantage of other people will know they can't take advantage of you. So that's the first thing. And this is one of the first things that I learned also, like way before being a coach or anything else. I noticed that there was a behavior, and I'm just going to say it. I noticed that there was a behavior between like abusers and people who allow themselves to be abused. And I get that there's, different situations and like parents and in relationships and all that. I get all that. But I'm talking about like the relationship itself, people always act like, oh, well, that person's going to find someone just like, they're used to it because that's how they broke up that's what they grew up with. That's, what they're used to kind of thing. Like, and the thing is, well, yeah, because they were basically conditioned to be that way. They were conditioned to be that way. So then when that other person comes, first of all, that other person, they don't have to know them like growing up. They don't have to know their abuse. They don't have to know anything about that person. They can see in their demeanor that they can be pushed around. They will allow themselves to be pushed around. An obvious example would be, let's say you didn't know how to like pump your own gas, but you had a car. So you don't know how to pump your own gas. So you go to the gas station. Every time you go to the gas station, you get somebody different to pump your gas. Sometimes it's super easy because the attendant is already there to do that, or they don't mind doing it or whatever. So they'll do it. But then sometimes it's not happening, and you kind of have to like ask someone who's pumping their own gas, hey, can you pump my gas for me? Eventually, what's going to happen is you're going to find someone at the gas station who doesn't want you to pump your own gas. They're going to always make sure there's gas in your car so that you don't have to ask anyone. They don't want you to go too far and be able to pump your own gas. This is what will happen based on what they see. So even if you think like, oh, I grew up with this, but I don't carry myself in this way, there's telltale signs. People know when they can control people and when they can't based on, and of course there's, straight aggression that keeps most people in check, even if they didn't know that person was that violent or that angry or that this or that. It comes out, you go, wow, nobody crosses this person. And you get stuck for a little while. But what this is saying, and I am not suggesting that anyone in an abusive relationship respond to someone who's abusive. Not at all. Not at all. That's a whole separate video, and I can actually tell you how to handle that. But what this is saying is in situations where you can, whether it's boundaries, whatever it is, that you do it and you stand by it. You do it in a way where you don't just go, I'm going to talk into this cup, and if he doesn't want to hear it, it's okay. It's saying that if you talk into that cup and that guy doesn't hear it, to tell him louder. And I'm not saying to be rude or anything like that. I'm just saying, because there's a way to be assertive. Some people think they're being assertive and they're just being rude. I'm going to throw that out there. Now, having said that, maybe in some cases it might be better to get it out rather than not get it out. But, we've also talked about how you don't have to always say everything. You don't have to always say everything. Sure, you can assert your authentic needs, but you know what? You don't have to, shove them down somebody's throat and then, make them accept it. You don't have to do that. What you could actually do is just decide. You could just say, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore with this person or whatever's going on. I'm not going to do this. There's for anybody who's ever been in a situation, and even situations that they couldn't control, when they were just like, I have had enough. They make this assertiveness stand out for them, no matter how they do it. Even if it's a moment in time before they quietly walk away, they will have said something at some point Most people have to. A lot of people do it like in situations like I was talking about. A lot of people do it like when they're out of the situation. They feel like, and some people, and they're still trying to set boundaries in their relationship, and they're still arguing about it because, they're with somebody that doesn't listen. And the thing about this card too is, if you give a boundary, if somebody knows, like sometimes boundaries are obvious, but for some reason you have to restate them, and then somebody wants you to like show them that you mean it. If people want to cross boundaries right in front of your face, you don't have to be there for that. You don't have to cause a fight over it and try to be right over it and try to convince them to stop doing it. And you're trying to hold boundaries in a situation. If you try to set boundaries and people don't like, however it's received, you're getting a pushback. Those people don't respect your boundaries anyway. And what's going to happen is if you continue to let yourself be in that situation with them, and I'm sorry, I know, even if it's family, unfortunately, energetically, you're telling the universe, oh, it's okay if I can't assert my authentic needs. They're my family. They're going to bring more people. The universe doesn't know the difference between what you want, what you don't want. They just know what you're experiencing and you're not getting out of. They'll send you more people that won't let you experience your, assert your authentic needs. It's an energy thing. People always act like people have bad habits. And yeah, I mean, it's true to that. But a lot of times, victims don't really walk around going, oh, let me see if I can find somebody else, to do, no. No, it takes a long time. And honestly, if you're on a spiritual awakening and you get out of something like that, where somebody is like actually like abusive and you get out of it, you will be tested. The universe is going to send you somebody in sheep's clothing, and they're going to say, are you sure? Are you sure you don't want that? Are you sure this person reminds you of that other person? Remember that person that you had that fire for? Because there's always a passion and stuff that comes with relationships like that. And they'll say, are you sure you don't want to bite this time? This person's a different person. Yeah, well, the energy's still the same. And you'll find out real quick when you're not allowed to get enough sleep because they want to talk to you, or when you say something, you set a boundary in the relationship, but they didn't hear you. And it could be something small, it could be something big. That's what I'm telling you straight up. If somebody cares about what you want, if you don't, like, if you just mention it, they'll remember your damn coffee order. Doesn't matter how complicated it is, they'll remember it. So it's one of those where if you can't even remember, if you're in my family and you can't remember to not step on my toes and not hit me in the head with a hammer, I'm not going to keep talking about it with you. In fact, to be honest with you, I'm the type of person, I'm going to say it once. And especially now in relationship or just, whatever, with people, I'm going to say it once. Sorry. I might remind you, if you're a sweet person, I know you're not doing it on purpose, I might remind you, but I don't like to repeat myself. You make me repeat myself, I'm going to assess what kind of friend you are, straight up. So, in a relationship too. Oh, I got to fight about... I'm going to tell that person in the beginning, I have a rule, I don't fight. One time. Why? Because first of all, it's a waste of time. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, like with boundaries. Like, let's really get into this. We can talk about the surface of this and other people and how they respond and all that stuff. Let's talk about my boundary about not fighting and why I have it. I got that way before my spiritual awakening. Way before my spiritual awakening. In fact, I was 19 years old when I came up with that rule. Actually, probably maybe a couple years older, because I think I was 19 when I actually got into the relationship with this. So I had a relationship with somebody where it was pretty rocky, and yes, it was abusive, but you know, it was still like early on in my like being abused career. So I didn't really realize, you know, I didn't know, like, I don't know. Anyway, you know, it was a type of person that I was picking, you know, and it was just happened to be a type of person that just didn't know how to control their emotions, you know. And the last probably year, this person, we would fight, you know, and I was still young enough to where I was like trying to like, you know, stick up for myself, and no, you can't talk to me that way, and you know, and we're treating, you know, and like the things that people do, the last word, having to saying that hurtful thing when you just can't take it anymore. I remember one time he like just didn't talk to me for a week, and I don't even remember what I did, and it was stuff like that. And when we finally broke up, we were together like 3.5 years. When we finally broke up, I was like, I really loved that person. And even though they had treated me the way they did and all that stuff, you know, again, you know, unconditional love, we're so awesome for it. So I still loved this person. And I was like, all that time we spent just fighting, just arguing, just trying to, all that time I spent like just trying to, you know, get him to see my point, you know. And I'm leaving this relationship now, and I still love this person. And I was just like, what a waste of time. And so I decided at that moment, at the end of that relationship, that I wasn't going to fight with people anymore. And I've had plenty of people try to fight with me since then. Plenty of people. And in some cases, I have had to physically defend myself. But, you know, I am not going to fight. I am not going to get pushed into a fight. I'm not going to get dragged into a fight. I'm not going to get yanked into a fight. I'm not going to fall into a fight. The minute it even looks like a fight, and first of all, I can see fights coming. I can see when people are coming at me with their battle gear on. And again, with me, a lot of times, if you irritate me, you've done something. If you're irritated with me, you might want to think about that. So I already know, too, when they're coming. The hell do you want? Seriously. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. You better go do your battle cry somewhere else. If I'm not going to fight in a relationship, and I'm not going to fight with my family, I'm not going to fight with you. That's my rule. I don't give a shit. Because it takes two to fight. And yes, I have seen people fight with themselves. I have. And I've also realized in that situation that I have to leave. So again, not fighting. Somebody wants to run a pattern and run that pattern into a cycle and play around with this, dancing with themselves. I'm gonna go watch a movie or something. Seriously. So think about that. Think about if you're in a situation, like if it is family and you can't get away, you can't do this. Ask yourself why you're there. Because most of the time, if you're an empath, this is the empath cards. If you're an empath, you might have been put there to get out of that. And you can think that, oh, I'm just waiting for this person to throw me out of the house, or I'm waiting for this relationship to end. This relationship can't go forever. It's already always teetering. It's going to end at some point, and then I'll be free. Yeah. And then somebody else just like them will come right in. And they won't look like it at first. They'll look different. They'll even maybe listen to some of the things that you said about that other person and choose not to show you that right away. You know, and these patterns that I'm talking about, these abuse patterns, they happen at certain times. So a lot of time can go by before something actually shows its head. You need to get to know people. You need to see, are they respecting your boundaries? Because it's a clever person that will respect your boundaries and then all of a sudden take them away. And people who do that, people who take away other people's boundaries, they got too much ego. They wouldn't even let you have it in the first place. Like I would be very surprised if someone said, yeah, he gave me everything I wanted and then he flipped. I'd be like, well, maybe he's bipolar. So if they're not, respecting your boundaries in the beginning, don't expect your boundaries to be respected in the middle or the end. Don't. They're showing you already in the beginning what they're going to do. If you accept it, then you're telling them, explicitly. I don't care if you don't say it out loud. You're letting them know. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to pay attention to this. It's not really that important. You can be however you want to be. I'm just going to be here for you. Empaths don't actually really work well that way. And if you do put yourself in that position where you're letting one person drain the crap out of you, you can't really help anybody else, including yourself. Now we are talking about inner hostilities. We are talking about what you're doing to yourself because you're blocking everything. You're blocking your gifts. You're blocking your happiness. You're blocking somebody else to come in and treat you right. You're blocking anybody to be able to listen to your boundaries because you're putting out vibes that they don't have to. Even if people don't meet each other, it's on you. It's strange like that. So keep it in mind. If you're in a situation where you can stand up for your boundaries, do it. If you thought you could and you found out you couldn't, assess that situation. And since we've been talking about abuse, if you find yourself in that situation, get yourself help. Get yourself to a shelter or get yourself somewhere where you're safe. And I mean, if you're going to do it, do it. Don't think about it and then go back and do it. That's I can't even go. There isn't a video long enough that I can even talk about how safe or unsafe you are if you make decisions like that. If you're going to do it, do it. If you're not ready, don't do it. You know what I'm talking about. While we're talking about this, if there's anybody who knows someone who's in a situation that may or may not be dangerous, and you can't help because you've either tried to help that person before and they didn't come out of it, or you just knew that it was too risky, the best thing that you can do for a friend who's in trouble is to just tell them to let you know if they need anything. And I'm not talking about bringing drama to your door when they're fighting with people. I'm talking about a real plan to free that person from that situation. There doesn't have to be a huge fight. There doesn't have to be things said. Nobody even has to be told. Self-preservation kicks in. This is self-preservation. Even if you're not in a dangerous situation, this is self-preservation, I promise you. This is going to keep coming up. If you can't, even on the smallest things, if you can't get people to honor, yes, assert. But sometimes we don't assert because nobody cares, or we feel like nobody cares, or when we do assert, they don't do anything about it. We're again conditioned to not assert. So assert, and if you can assert, and you're in a situation. Sometimes you're in situations where people just want you to be yourself, and you're not being yourself. You're trying to please them or whatever else is going on. Assert, and then stand up for it. That's how you're going to get out of a lot of the stuff that you don't want to be happening to you. You say no. You just say no. 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 Until we meet again.